Well. Here we are. Funny how everything has shifted and changed again here. Uh, Back in April, I was standing, not sitting, at my desk in my old bedroom studio upstairs in my house. Since then, as you could tell, and if you've been following along, if you're watching on video here, you can tell that I am in new studio. Um, it's beautiful. I love it. But back then in April, I was recording the first episode of the new podcast that I was launching, the MJS Podcast. Now, I said in that episode that name, that was the first thing I led off with in that episode. I just listened to it back, and I said, this episode and this podcast and this name, it's tough, It's tough to name things, and it really is. And why did I pick the MJS Podcast? I picked the MJS Podcast because those are my initials. You got other people that just basically name everything after themselves, and I was like, okay, this is good enough for now. And, I don't regret that, obviously, because it was a good idea at the time, for however long it lasted. But it never really resonated with me. I am happy that I did it, and I just started putting some episodes out there, and it was fine. But I only put out a couple. I put out one with Matt Medeiros, and then I put out one with Nick Sarayev. And so 2 bangers of episodes. But then I kind of, went along the little kind of wayside a little bit. You can see it, obviously, if you've been following me. You've probably been following me on YouTube and such. I was creating some other content. I had some traveling, events and things, obviously, throughout the year. And I just didn't really film anymore. I didn't reach out to other people on my Notion database that I talked about back in that video. And I was really excited. I did kind of some of the branding and stuff like that for this MJS podcast. I set it up on Transistor, and I was excited, but I didn't follow through with it. So fast forward, after I put out this couple episodes, in probably the first 2 weeks, didn't do any other ones. And then something happened over, at this point, I'm filming this on October 3rd, 2025. Something happened over those months, and I just went through a lot of stuff. Nothing really serious, but mentally, it's like I was filming content. I was trying to build the agency up a little bit, but I hated the name of the agency. This podcast name isn't terrible. It's my initials, but it's just weird. It's like MJS Podcast. The MJS Podcast doesn't really mean anything else. It's whatever. I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened. I was just not feeling great. And I've realized a lot of stuff about myself over the course of filming all sorts of content, not just the podcast content, but I realized that every single day I need to be filming something. I need to be talking to a camera and documenting, because I don't know what it is about me. I'm just weird. That really fuels me. I talk about in that episode that I keep referencing here, that first episode of the MJS Podcast, I talk about the fact that I've been doing this for a long time. Like in some capacity, I've been having conversations, I've been creating content. And one of the things I talk about years ago was Fueled by Progress. And Fueled by Progress was a brand that I came up with that name while I was in the phase of my life where I was working constantly. I would have I had a job still, like a W-2 job, whatever. And I would literally, I couldn't stop thinking about work. Now it's a little different now. Obviously I'm still working a lot, but it's different. Back then, the story is, this is true. I was on a cruise vacation with my family. I was in the stateroom with my now wife, then girlfriend, Amanda. And I had this notebook. And I was writing down shit that I needed to do for all these businesses that I was starting, all these LLCs. And I've told this story before. I'm not going to go into the whole depth. But as it pertains to Fueled by Progress, I was like, I need a name. I was following a lot of people that had, clothing brands, podcasts, personal brands, communities. And I was like, I need a name, a really, really good name. And if you've ever seen some of the clothing I wear, there's a brand called Everforward. If you've ever heard of Max Tuning, he's the creator of that. It's no longer a thing. But I was like, I need a name that means something. Like it means something more than just clothes or just at the time or just a community or random podcast or whatever. Something that's actually good, like a good name. And I don't know what happened, but I just thought of Fueled by Progress. And then I did the research, obviously, because you have to do, brand research, trademark research, et cetera, make sure nobody has it. And somehow I found a golden nugget. Somehow I found something. I came up with something back in, must have been 2019, that nobody had thought of. Nobody had thought of that phrase. Now, again, there's a lot of names. There's a lot of good names out there. There's a lot of good phrases, a lot of good things, but I've never had that. I've never had that happen in my life. I've never had somebody say, oh, that's a really great name. That's a really good brand name. I've had multiple people tell me that now as I've relaunched it and I've told people this is the first episode. Well, it's not the first episode, but it's the first one back after a little bit of turbulence of Fueled by Progress. People tell me the name's great. I'm happy about it. I'm happy that people see the stroke of genius. I don't know. But the funny thing is, it's just, I abandoned it. I was about to abandon it. I did abandon it for almost for good. I mean, I say in that video that I was going to come back to it maybe someday or whatever. And I guess that ended up being true. But I don't know why I didn't just start it back up and go that route in April. In a lot of ways, it's probably for the best. Because I think back even in April, as soon as April, I mean, we're talking 6 months ago, I was a much different person then. I was, I'm approaching 30 now. I'm going to be 30 in January. And I was a much different person then. I just watch that video, and obviously I'm in a different, room of my house. I'm in a different mindset. But I just feel like I've matured, not even matured. I just feel like I've garnished a lot more kind of wisdom and enlightenment. And I feel like I've hit more catalyst points and like specific things that have happened over that timeline. We're not talking like super earth shattering, but just things that have happened that, interactions, conversations, trips, whatever. And I just feel like I am into the next, at least approaching the next era here as I exit my 20s. And I was just thinking, you know what? I don't know what happened a couple days or at this point, like maybe like a week or two ago. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to make some changes because I don't feel good about these things. I know that I need to maybe not work harder, but work a lot smarter or be a lot more disciplined and kind of think a little bit more about actually driving revenue but I also need to feel good about it. And I really hated my agency name as well. Find It Tech has lived its life. So a couple days ago, I'm getting slightly off track here, but couple days ago, I've decided to just kind of change a lot of things at the same time. So Find It Tech is no longer. It is now Motive 11. And the MJS Podcast is no longer. Short-lived. RIP. Fueled by Progress is back. Just as a little bit of a quick history lesson on Fueled by Progress, because I've mentioned it, but I haven't really given you the context. It was a brand that I started, a full LLC, trademarked and everything, okay? A lot of people don't trademark. I trademarked it because I wanted to sell clothing, digital stuff, obviously the podcast and things like that. And it was a three-pronged thing. It was apparel, community, and podcast. The apparel never really got off the ground too much. We did a couple sales, but it was mostly like print-on-demand things. We didn't get to the stage where we were really diving into a lot of overseas or anything. The community started it a little bit, tried to get some initial people. It wasn't really a good offer there at the time. I was doing too many other silly things. And then the podcast. Podcast was good. Now, view-wise and everything, subscriber-wise, not what I'm talking about. Good for me. Good for my relationships with people. Good for my self-improvement, my increased communication, all sorts of stuff. Filmed the first, and I moved all these, okay? I want you to understand what I did, okay? because one day when we have 1,000 episodes, you're going to look back and you'll be like, oh, what was, you might be somebody, might be a fan then. And, it's going to be a little different because what was the origin story? Well, I'll tell you right here. The origin story was I started doing podcasts in my car. And you can literally go back and see it right now. I just literally yesterday, and you can go to my second channel, Mark Szymanski 2, and you can go right now and you can see me doing all of the work to actually fix these podcasts up and do all these things. That was another thing I did. I also started a second channel so I could create more content authentically so I don't feel like absolute shit when I'm not creating content that needs to be perfectly curated for the main channel. That's an aside. We'll talk about that some other time or on a different channel. But anyway, back to this. In Fueled by Progress, in the land of Fueled by Progress here, I just took all of the podcasts that I had on the main RSS feed, moved them to a new RSS feed, and basically just took the couple episodes from the MJS podcast and tacked them on. So are they FBP? Are they MJS? I don't know. They're somewhere in here. They're in the feed. But from now on, it's Fueled by Progress. It's inevitable. That Fueled by Progress is inevitable. Fueled by Progress is inevitable. It's, it is what it is. But I started this whole thing in my car. I was listening to a couple of them. They're bad. The first ones were with my phone. I have a Pixel 10 Pro XL right now. The first one that I was recording with, 4XL. Years ago, okay? These are 6 years ago. And I was just in my car on the way to work in the wintertime, talking about the weather. Not just about the weather, but I'm talking about stuff and I'm like just thinking about life, thinking about what I want to do. And it's funny? I've learned a lot. I've changed a lot. But I'm talking about the same shit 6 years ago. And I think that's really cool because you know what that means? That means that like I was rooted in the same stuff that I am now. And if I can talk about this shit to nobody back then or a couple people now, and I could talk about it till I'm blue in the face still, that's a good sign. I've been talking about recently about watching the signs, paying attention to them. That's a good sign. So that makes me excited. But the first 40 or so were all in my car, pretty much. I don't know if they were all in my car, but mostly just on my phone. And then there's a period in time. And if you go back, again, I'm publishing this video that you're watching right now on the Fueled by Progress YouTube channel and as well, obviously, on the podcasting platforms. If you go back wherever you're watching this, whatever platform or the channel, you can go back and you can see around, I think it's episode 43 maybe, somewhere around there. It's the dawn of a new era. And that's me. Just like this. I've made these types of videos like 3 times now, okay? This one where we're rebooting Fueled by Progress, the one where I changed the name to MJS Podcast or started a new thing. And then back then, episode 43 or whatever, the dawn of a new era, a even younger looking me in my childhood bedroom in my parents' house. And I'm saying that, we're going to have guests now. We're going to talk to people instead of just talking to ourselves in the car. And then I went on a string of like 40 episodes, some in my parents' garage sitting at a, folding table, some in, virtually in certain places, some on site at different places, and some in another like structure on my parents' property. It's like kind of like a nice shed thing. It's great. You should see it. There's plywood in the back. It's a good set. But yeah, those 40 great episodes with a lot of different people. A lot of people from my life of varying, backgrounds and occupations and, interests. And they were all good conversations. And they all helped me kind of get better at communicating, better at interviewing, better at asking questions, amongst the other things, like literally setting up and tearing down all this podcasting equipment that's actually still sitting right back there in right by that plant. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm trying to sell it. So if you want all that stuff, it's a really nice set. It's on Facebook Marketplace, Rode Pod mics, all sorts of stuff. But anyway, maybe I'll need it again because maybe very soon Fueled by Progress will be at the level of Modern Wisdom, Diary of a CEO, whatever. We'll be doing in-house, flying people out. That'd be sick, huh? That's a goal. I think it's very attainable. But yeah, that's kind of where we got. So then 4 years ago, almost 1,500 days to the day. I want to say it's about, as of recording this, I want to say it's about 1,400 and something because I saw it on YouTube the other day. And it's just funny how life ends up where it ends up. 1,500 days later, I'm saying the name of a brand, podcast, etc., that has lied dormant for 1,500 days, 5 years almost. And it's interesting, you know? It's really interesting. I don't know if that's supposed to mean something or whatever, but maybe it's just me being an idiot and not like bringing it back sooner. But it's just funny. So yeah, I mean, I just had this epiphany the other day as I was doing this, and I don't know what it was. It was a mixture of like, this is a great idea, and like, I don't give a fuck, something like that, where I just need to do this. I feel like if I make these changes, I will want to do more things. And I also really like this part of life and business where I'm setting things up, making adjustments, thinking about the structure of how things should be, thinking about the marketing and branding cohesion of a lot of stuff. Because, when you do this type of thing, it's not an insignificant amount of work. I mean, it's not a ton, but you have to like set up branding, set up logos, spend 3 hours moving RSS feeds and messing around with different shit. And it's just, it's important stuff, but it takes time. So, I've appreciated you guys, every single one of you. I appreciate you watching the main channel. If you're watching the second channel now, thank you so much. If you subscribe to Fueled by Progress, I thank you immensely. I know that you're going to enjoy it. We're going to have some great guests on. Spoiler, I already have 3 episodes that are unreleased that have been filmed and are being just kind of lightly edited here to be published. Got another one scheduled, and I have a list of at least 40 people that I would love to have conversations with. I think you're going to enjoy it. The theme and the motif, again, is going to blend the old thought of Fueled by Progress, which was just having candid conversations with people, just getting to know people, getting to understand really where they came from, how they got to be where they are, their thoughts, interesting things about them. And then the MJS podcast, which is really an extension of what that was. And yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I've really enjoyed having the conversations on the YouTube channel that I've been able to have with people at events, and there's a lot of really good people out there doing a lot of good stuff. And I would just like to build rapport with them candidly, as well as bring their insights directly to you, and do it in a way where maybe other people haven't been able to reach those people. Maybe do it in a way where the conversations that I have with XYZ person are a little bit deeper, a little bit more insightful, or just a little different than they're used to. And I think I've had that effect so far on a lot of people. So I'm stoked for it. Above all, yeah, I mean, I am so excited to have Fueled by Progress back in my ecosystem of things that I'm doing. I do not know why I let it slip, but I caught it. So we're back. We are back. This is the dawn of the newest era, I guess. and I'm sure there'll be more eras. That's the thing I'll leave you with. I'm sure there will be more eras. I'm not ever of the mind anymore that this is the way, this is the only thing I'm ever going to do for the rest of my life, da da da, whatever. But I am increasingly aware that I need to do things that I feel are the right thing to do, because my gut is almost never leads me astray when I do that. And as I said, towards the beginning, I've had so many people just kind of bestow their graces on me with all the sorts of things that I'm doing, and I just incredibly appreciate it. And I just need to remember that. Um, so yeah, I'll get off the soapbox here, but Fueled by Progress is back, and I am excited to share these conversations with you. I really hope you stick around. I hope you subscribe on YouTube or your preferred podcasting platform. If you want to check out the second channel, I'm doing a lot more of this type of content there, where I'm just firing from the hip. But I'm finding my way, just like everyone else. I'm really appreciating, again, all of the support, and I know you're going to love these conversations. So stick around, subscribe, and let's keep going.